Hello, welcome. I'm Mercury Black, and I'm just coming on to announce that we're hosting a Lunatic Patrol tonight. For those of you who are members of the Lunatic Patrol, really nothing more than that needs to be said. You know what to look for in the description. I may just do this and disappear. There's always infinity things to do, but to do any one of them, you have to sacrifice everything else. So in a moment, I'll speak to people who may not know what the Lunatic Patrol is, but for anyone who's watching at the moment, if there's nothing to respond to when I'm done talking to people who are new to the Lunatic Patrol, I will just bugger off. If you've got something you'd like to discuss for a while, I value your time and realize you also had infinite options available to you when you clicked this link. So I'll respond to anything in the chat in a moment. If you've clicked on this and you've never been to a Lunatic Patrol or have not heard of it, Lunatic Patrol is when I host a Zoom party and get together with people. So tonight we'll be watching episode 3 of season 2 of Doom Patrol. The episode's called Pain Patrol, I believe. It's starting at 9 o'clock. If you're shy or have social anxiety, you're free to leave your camera and mic turned off. You're welcome to just lurk. Doors open at 9. We start the show pretty close on. For those of you who just want to join the discussion afterwards and don't want to watch the episode, just show up around 10. And so if you've never been to a Lunatic Patrol, why might you want to show up? Well, if you watch Lunatic Live or you watch my podcast, then that's why you might want to watch. I'll be there. You can talk to me, or even if you don't feel like participating, you can sit and listen to a discussion between me and whichever fascinating and wonderful individuals show up this evening. So essentially, you can treat it like a live podcast that doesn't get posted anywhere else after. But also, if you want to talk to me, if you want a chance to discuss something with both me and whatever portion of the community shows up tonight, sometimes we discuss philosophical ideas. Sometimes it's kind of a study group. Sometimes somebody brings up something they're struggling with or one of their problems, and it becomes a sort of like group therapy session. Proper friendship, while not therapy, should be therapeutic, participating in a good community is good for you. And so if you're strange enough that you think it's possible the community forming here is a good community for you, and you're free tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, stop in. On the other hand, there's infinity other things you can do. So if you don't show up tonight, do something that's better with your time than showing up tonight. However, when you examine your options, if you realize that the best thing that you're going to realistically do is show up, then do that. Okay, so 2 More V's doesn't want me to disappear. Good to see you too. Everyone go check out his channel and subscribe. His music's fucking awesome. All right, well, give me something to riff on for a few minutes. And Grizz says it's better being programmed together and the discussions are good. Yeah. One thing about communities is sharing stories. You can tell the difference between tribes by they have different stories they tell around the campfire. Stories are important and powerful. So watching a story together gives us more ways to communicate, gives you something you can reference in the discussion after. What happened here brought this up in my life. This is how this situation in my life is similar to the characters. What does everyone think? Hope you're doing well as well, Chuck. You're free tonight. Stop in. As Grizz points out, yeah, it's like a digital campfire. We'll all gather around the same thing, and at first we'll take it nice and quiet. We'll just sit and watch the flames dance for a while. We'll share a story. and then we'll talk. Okay, so two more V's asks, is imperfection necessary for humans? If so, I'd say it's because we need room for God, but that sounds a bit more like rhetoric. Well, humans are imperfect, and I imagine that what is there is necessary. So since humans are imperfect, and since I believe that the divine plan makes sense, then I would say yes, it's obviously obvious. It's obviously that we need imperfections. Also, it seems to me that to be without imperfection, you might have to be source itself. It may not be possible to be a reduction of the Godhead and manifest perfection unless you get to that like Christ-like state and reunite with it. But also, it seems like, and so to look at yourself and think, oh, I'm imperfect, shit, I'm fucked up. Like, no, being imperfect does not mean you came out wrong. That doesn't mean there's been a mistake. And so, yes, your imperfection is necessary. It gives you something to be. Your imperfections help shape you. And your limitations and weaknesses are there for a reason so that you can learn from them. Okay, so I don't know how to say your name. Like, is the J a J or an H? Is it like Hosias or Josias? Sorry about that. But either way, enjoy your bonfire. It's a great idea. Fire's wonderful. You know, time in nature is good for you. When you can find any piece of nature, a sunset, a tree, you know, out in the forest, some wild animals to watch and plug into that energy. Well, fire is nature too. Fire is something you can just stare at and connect to something pure. Something that we haven't written the script for and that we don't control. Fire is what it is. We haven't manipulated and warped it. Nobody's using the power of the fire to manipulate you, to trigger dopamine hits associated with their corporation or their interests. Hi, Daniel. Good to see you. And the reason we're doing one tonight is for your sake. I saw your message, but even the message you sent earlier today, the comment, me and Grizz had already decided that for your sake, we were going to hold one tonight because, yeah, I know it's rough on you when we hold them during the week. And you're an important part of the Lunatic Patrol. So we wanted to make sure to give you one on a day this week where you could stay up a bit later. So Grizz wants us to know the Juggalo makeup messes with facial recognition tech, but it's still makeup. Interesting. So that's one option if you're worried about the facial recognition tech, is begin living as a Juggalo. And Josiah says it's a J, although I can still easily be pronouncing that wrong. Well, I'm glad you're happy with that answer. I could have kept riffing and going deeper, and then my thoughts got distracted. And I will try to hold a Lunatic Patrol sometime so that you folks in Europe can attend, because I know it's much too late for you, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My first thought, Chuck, is that I'm not sure if you actually did that or not. Well, how did it go? I've never tried that experiment. Okay, so two more. The most evil humans have a highest self that is God in its core and has a reason for their awfulness. It seems to me that there is nothing that isn't like God, and there's nothing that isn't good at its core, but some things are so detached from the good that the level of manifestation and experience for that entity, it's perspectile. In this dimension, there are things that are evil. They will act evilly in this world. You should treat them as evil. Within this dimension and others, there are things that will perceive only the evil within themselves. That for them, the Holy Spirit, that fire that comes at Pentecost, will feel like hellfire to them. They will experience that they're separate and at war with God. However, it appears to me that from the higher perspective, all of those things are wearing masks. They're confused. And while it's possible that something may play a role like that with full knowledge that it's sacrificing goodness for a time to come back to the good, others might serve that role completely unaware that in the long run, they are ultimately serving the good. Does that make sense? You're very welcome, Daniel. But their highest self is still in control and knows why it does what it does. In the way I perceive things, the highest self is the point at which you connect to God. So again, though, from this perspective, there can be something corrupt enough that it will appear as though its highest self is something evil. That means you're down in this domain. Like there's a danger to recognizing there's nothing that isn't God. That doesn't mean that evil isn't evil down here. Just that evil ultimately serves the good. It does have a purpose. And even if ultimately everything is redeemed. And so for instance, with this way of thinking, it can become easy to understand why you shouldn't judge another as an entity, as a soul, like to judge it. There is nothing, I think, that is actually an evil soul. However, a soul can be expressing, manifesting, and understanding only evil. So its actions, its temperament at the time, its current state from this perspective is evil, and therefore it should be treated as evil on this plane, yet should be loved as an expression of divine source on the higher plane. I don't know if that made sense. Okay, so Chuck says, sorry, I'm watching on a slight delay. I really did do it. It was during my very dark time, obviously. But yeah, I'm glad I didn't mess up my vein like I did in my hand a different time. Okay, interesting. I wasn't sure if you were talking about something you'd actually done or if that was some form of trolling, but now I'll treat it as if it's real either way. Oh yeah, I'm glad you didn't have any long-term effects and that you've only ever shot it like, 5 times in a year. So I'm not against drugs universally. If a drug is good for someone and is actually like good for them, like obviously I use marijuana, I use tobacco, I use caffeine. But the drug isn't good for you. And that's one of the reasons I like the self-authoring is it asks you to think through what drugs are good for you and not, and for you to decide by your own values. choose what drugs are good for you or not. So there's nothing wrong with drugs universally. But are drugs good for you in general? Are you currently using only drugs that you actually feel are good for you? Or do you use drugs that some part of you is telling you shouldn't? Do you use drugs that in some way damages your life? You know, do you behave badly when on drugs, or does it have long-term negative effects on you? Is it interfering with relationships, a functional life? Or was everything else dysfunctional before, and that's why you're searching with drugs? What are you trying to do with drugs? Are you trying to escape something? Or are you trying to interact with something? Are you getting high to explore consciousness, to know yourself, or is it to heal you? Or are you running away? Are you suppressing? Are you... But anyway, that is one thing that I'm happy to help people with in private sessions, or that the community is happy to help people with. If anyone has an issue with drugs and is looking for support in doing like self-authoring says, getting control, you know, doing what you know is right and stop doing what you don't, or what you know isn't, then sign up to the Discord. The link's in the description, or join a Lunatic Patrol and talk. We've got a lot of people who've had a lot of experiences. So there can be a surprising amount of wisdom and life experience present at some of these parties. So you say you're kind of a troll in real life. Grizz says it's scary how dark we can get in the dark times. Yes. And so if anyone's lost in the dark, ours isn't a community unaware of how rough it is there. And ours is not a community that's going to judge you for your faults and weaknesses if you're honestly attempting to do the best you can with them. We're not going to judge you for past sins if you've stopped committing them, or are in the, you know, honestly attempting to rehabilitate yourself from whatever you know is wrong. I've been to dark places. I've been to deeply suicidal places. Complete psychotic breaks. I've been in the mental institution. I've been high and I've been low, and I've been very, very strange. So unless you're devoted to evil, unless you're holding on to it, you're going to have a difficult time disturbing me. So for anyone coming across this light on the screen, who's lost in a scary, dark place, there are ways out. Me and other people here in this community have found ways out of places like that. If you can find enough hope just to reach out, there's help out there. And if we're not the place to go for help, so if someone's watching this and we're just not the place to go, look somewhere else. What is right for you? Local church, a therapist, support group. You need AA? Do you need to go back to school? Do you need your family? There's help out there. Don't use the excuse that the dark voices in your head tell you that there isn't help out there. Stop you from looking for it. So Daniel asked, I did not do the self-authoring program. I bought it and never even opened it. Although I got it like a 2-for-1 deal with someone else and they worked on it. So that at least was good. No, I've just talked to people who have done it, and I've heard Peterson describe it. So I support it without actually having done it myself. Chuck says my mother had started doing bath salts when they were still legal, and she started buying them in bulk from China and getting everyone she knew addicted to increase her power. Okay, so that is just an unfortunate aspect of how we've been programmed by society. Yeah, and as much as I say, like, I'm not judgmental about a drug dealer that is providing a wanted service to adults, and is not using it to manipulate others or gain power over them. But considering how powerful drugs are, considering mainstream society doesn't give you access to some of the ones that people want, people will use those to gain power over other people. People build up cults that way. People fucking dominate family and friend groups. People will dominate a social environment. And people will addict people to drugs just so they can manipulate them for sex or other things they need from them. That's a good reason to examine what drugs you're doing and how it affects you. If you're doing a drug that you can only get from one source, and that source is using it to increase their own personal power, and to take power over you, then even if that drug wouldn't be a problem available from another source, like even if that drug wasn't chemically bad for you, that drug's bad for you. I would be very careful about giving someone else that kind of power over you. And so Chuck continues, when I stopped interacting with my mother, I felt I still needed a stimulant and a social life, question mark. So I did that for a year and ended up in felony drug court. Okay, yeah, that's another thing for a lot of drug addicts is, or even why, okay, it's a problem drug addicts face that we don't often discuss. But also, I think it's sometimes it is the drive for someone taking a drug. It's not even they want to take that drug. They're aware that certain social groups form around taking drugs. That's like the defining characteristic of certain social groups. So someone completely lost in life and who doesn't have opportunities to get into other social groups. You're in a bad neighborhood. You don't have social skills. You don't feel like there's any other way for you to get a tribe, a community, a family, a group of friends, a support system. Yet you notice that all the crackheads watch each other's back, sleep in the same area, that they're bonded, that they don't trust people who don't smoke crack, that they instantly trust anyone who does, that makes you a member of a community. That can be better than being alone for some people. So some people, part of the draw of taking a certain drug is just to achieve some connection with a social group. Others who have been doing drugs for a while realize that even if you're not to that degree, even if it's like you smoke weed, but it doesn't, like, it's not a part of your identity, you in theory don't give a shit if people smoke weed or not. Well, still, you might just find that every person you spend a lot of time with, not everyone ends up this way, but that all the people you spend a lot of time with smoke weed. And then if you want to quit weed, it's like, well, fuck, that is like, again, and with that scenario, I'm imagining even that, like, that doesn't remove you from the group of friends. They don't care. Just the fact that they smoke weed and you're trying not to will make it harder to hang out with them for you. Unless you can completely get over the desire where you can be around them smoking. On the other hand, there's other social groups where if you stop taking the drug everyone else is taking, you're no longer a part of the group. Okay, wait, what did you just say? All right, well, this is nice to hear. Okay, so you're not still back in all that fucked up shit. Because Chuck continues further saying, now I'm a truck driver with a wife and 3 kids and another on the way. Congratulations. I can tell you, man, You seem like someone I'd hang with. I'll be quiet now. Thanks. Wow, like that's great to hear. Yeah, seriously, congratulations on the wife, 3 kids, and another on the way. Like, God bless. It's wonderful that you've gone from that to this. If you seem like someone or if I seem like someone you'd hang with, show up to a Lunatic Patrol sometime. If you like me, you're going to like my friends. But also, I do private sessions. I don't know if you're already a member of our Discord or not. But there's a link in the description of this video. If you join Discord, announcements for all Lunatic Patrols and shit like that get posted there, just in case YouTube notifications don't go out. But aside from that, that's where people can message me directly. So, for instance, if there is still any issues with your past that you need to work out, and you think talking to me will help, let me know. On the other hand, if you are past all of that shit, like you don't need to talk it through, but there's something else you'd like to discuss with me, we're a growing community and new people are welcome. Two More V's says he was part of such a group for some time. Chuck says, it was a hard lesson learned, good wisdom, brother. Yeah, that's another thing I think you'll find in our community in general, is not only are there some smart people, like there's smart people who have learned a lot from reading and studying, but also we've got a lot of graduates or people who are actively enrolled in the School of Hard Knocks in our community. It's amazing what hard-earned wisdom people have in our community. And there's got to be some way we can put that to use. That by connecting online, expanding the community, getting more people talking to each other, that we should be able to put that fucking hard-earned wisdom to better use, to amplify it, to let other people reap the benefits from it. Because fuck, if you've already earned your wisdom that hard way, it's like sharing it and allowing others to benefit doesn't make the past any harder. It's like it doesn't add more burden. You've already fucking earned it. It can either assist you alone if you keep it to yourself. It can help your close family and friends if you share it with them. Or if you open yourself up to the world, it can help a fuck of a lot more people. You've already paid for it. It's not diminished by sharing it. So why not share it? Welcome, Tarot for Self-Knowledge. Thanks for joining us. I know you're busy traveling. And that's another channel. So, like personal favor to me, both of these people are dear friends of mine. If you're not already subscribed to Two More V's or Tarot for Self-Knowledge, and you're interested in their content, Two More V's, it's music, sampling minds you probably already love if you're on this channel. Pajot and Peterson is the majority of the workout, but there will be more to come in the future. So if you're interested in that kind of music, subscribe to Two More V's and check his shit out. But I also know a lot of people in this community are interested in or curious about tarot. That gets brought up a lot to me in personal sessions. So if you're interested in tarot, Tarot for Self-Knowledge is an excellent place to go to explore it. Yeah, so go subscribe, click their notification bells, and if you do go there, take the time to like the videos and leave a comment. It really helps people trying to get YouTube channels built. The more you interact with their videos, the better. So anyway, Tarot for Self-Knowledge says, at one point in my life, I was distancing myself from friends who didn't agree with my substance use, and I surrounded myself with friends who did agree with my substance abuse. Yeah, exactly. So then you paint yourself into a corner where if you change your mind on that substance, it's like, well, fuck, I built my whole social life around it. Makes it so much harder than just trying to quit the drug. Because like just quitting a drug is hard enough, depending on the drug and your predisposition, your level of inclination towards addiction. There's a lot of factors that make it harder or easier to stop using a drug. But then when you add to it that it fucks your social life up, that can be enough to make it impossible for people. And so if that's your problem, there's other communities out there. And ideally, don't get it all online. Like, make some other friends in real life. But if you don't know how to make friends in real life, join our community and talk to us about that. We have lots of people who have struggled with that or are struggling with that. And we do have lots of people who struggled with it and have learned ways to be more social. And there's nothing wrong with having a real world social life and a digital social life. Just don't have only a digital social life. If you're stuck in only a digital social life, make it a digital social life. Like, find a community or digital interaction that will help you move towards getting real life interaction. And I do think we do a pretty good job of that. Very welcome, sir. Yes, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is tonight's Lunatic Patrol. And the where is in the description of this video. So just click on the see more for the description, and you'll see that after whatever I wrote at one point, it says join the party using this Zoom link. So the Zoom link's there. It will work at 9 o'clock or possibly a few minutes early if me and Grizz decide to open early. And they can go quite late. They typically last between 4 and 7 hours, the overall party. So even if you come across this at like 1 a.m. tonight, Eastern Standard Time, and you're thinking, oh, fuck, it's probably over. At 1 a.m. it might be, or it may still have an hour or two, or fuck, yeah, some nights even more left in it. So the link just stops working once we close it down. There's no harm in attempting the link, no matter how late it is. And Daniel says, I'm in a Vietnamese restaurant just finishing a pho soup listening to you, Mercury. Enjoy your meal. Yeah. And that spiciness will be good for the immune system. Okay, I'm all caught up in chat. And we're at 33 minutes, right as I looked. I want to wrap this up now, and those of you who feel like talking more, I'll see you tonight at 9, or is there anything else that needs to be addressed before I exit the digital dimension and deal with the real life for a few hours in preparation for this evening? I got a thumb up, so I think we're good. Good to see you, Adela. You're very welcome. So thank you all for coming. I'm aware you have fucking infinity things you could do. There's more videos out there than you could possibly watch. Yeah, I value your time and attention, and I appreciate it. Thanks for showing up. I hope I've made it worth your time thus far, however much you've interacted. But also, I intend to keep gradually doing better. So hopefully I'll do even better in the future and make even better use of the time and attention you're so kind to share with us. Yeah, on that note, I hope to see some of you tonight. If you can't make it tonight, Lunatic Patrols will keep going on. There will be other opportunities. All right, yeah, well, if you're in California time, Chuck, then it's not as late for you. So it'd be really great to see you. I'd really enjoy that. And 2 more V's, I'll be talking to you tomorrow anyway. Yeah, on that note, I'm going to wrap this up and go do some other things, get ready for tonight. But I appreciate you all coming. God bless and lunatic love to all.